Recording in progress.
All right then. High clouds today. It's morning here. The line of the sun passed an hour and a half ago, I guess, with dawn. It's still dark in Hawaii. I'm in Portland, Oregon. This is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. I'm glad to be with you. I'm glad you're joining me to practice this morning. I have a short poem by John Welwood. If you've not heard of John Welwood, I highly recommend you look him up. He's one of the pioneers, really. He's gone now. He deceased a few years ago. He moved on. One of the, I guess, a certain kind of highlight of my life was at a teacher's conference. I had dinner with John Welwood on my left and Joanna Macy on my right. It was a fine evening of conversation. And then we actually spent the evening together in a process that was going on. Anyway, he really created his books. I'm forgetting the title right now, but if you want to use your relationship as a path to awakening, he's one of the pioneers of that, John Welwood. And he wrote this poem. Forget about enlightenment. Sit down wherever you are and listen to the wind singing in your veins. Feel the love, the longing, the fear in your bones. Open your heart to who you are right now. Not who you would like to be, not the saint you are striving to become, but the being right here before you, inside you, around you. All of you is holy. You are already more and less than whatever you can know. Breathe out. Touch in. Let go. Forget about enlightenment. Sit down wherever you are and listen to the wind singing in your veins. Feel the love, the longing, the fear in your bones. Open your heart to whoever you are right now. Not who you would like to be. Not the saint you are striving to become, but the being right here before you, inside you, around you. All of you is holy. You are already more and less than whatever you can know. Breathe out. Touch in. Let go. Forget about enlightenment. Sit down wherever you are. Listen to the wind singing in your veins. Feel the love, the longing, the fear in your bones. Open your heart to who you are right now. Not who you would like to be, not the saint you are striving to become, but the being right here before you, inside you, around you. All of you is holy. You are already more and less than whatever you can know. Breathe out. Touch in. Let go. And so we sit comfortably upright. And we notice that we are alive. That's all it takes. Listen to the wind singing in your veins. Feel the aliveness in your arms and hands, in your face. Notice the life in your hands, particularly your fingers, your thumb and index finger of your left hand. Notice how life manifests in your face. Nothing special, just life observed. The life of the left cheek, of the right eyebrow. And notice the primary external sign of life. The fact of breathing in and breathing out. And the body breathes itself. There is a truth this side of the Big Bang, the great flash, the beginning of all things in this universe. Everything has a beginning. And because it has a beginning, it has an ending. And this truth is what sets us free. And we can observe it everywhere, in everything. In the seasons, in the day, in the cry of a baby, in the ringing of a phone, in sitting down to a meal, in observing thoughts, and in observing in-breathing and out-breathing. And so each thought and each breath begins. And we relax into this moment, into this breath. There's nothing to plan. There's nothing to figure out. There isn't a problem to solve. There's just this sitting here. There are plenty of other things happening other than breathing. You might be tired, particularly if you spent the night in a cramped airplane seat. Or if the baby woke you up a lot last night. Or if you just aren't sleeping well these days. It doesn't matter why. But you can know fatigue, or you can know its opposite, crisp, perhaps easy presence and awareness. And each breath has its moment of beginning. It has its rising to fullness, which you can feel in the chest and abdomen. It has its decline, and then it has its vanishing. And of course, the mind, which is used to running free, which is used to going into the past, creating a future, being unhindered, will offer up lots of thoughts, lots of problems, emotions, the 5 hindrances. And none of these are the least problem at all. None of them can hold a candle to the brilliance of mindfulness. And so we notice the mind to be wandering, worrying, planning. And we come home to now, to this breath. We bring with us and are strengthened by the refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. There's so much conflicting advice in the world. Some of it says, if you buy this or that, if you have this achievement, if you have the right relationship or the right television set, then you'll be really happy. content. Or maybe it's chanting this mantra or that mantra. But perhaps it's taking refuge in being awake, in being the Buddha. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma, in the way things work, actually, in the laws of nature, the law of karma. And I really pay attention to what happens, what is truly known. And in the Sangha, the community of practice, and the lineage of our forebears who practiced just like this, who stopped, sat down, paid attention to breathing. Each breath has a beginning. Each breath has an ending. Mindfulness has the capacity of remembering. What am I doing here? Oh, yes. I am intending to be awake. I'm using mindfulness of breathing in and breathing out as my home base. And noticing everything else as it arises and disappears. It's sometimes wise to just check out and see, is there any unnecessary tension in the body? Is there a furrowed brow? Any slight tension in the forehead, which is somehow trying to be more diligent? Or is there tension in the gut, in the solar plexus? Is there some holding of breath? There are many unconscious ways that we hold on. If there is tension in the body, simply bringing awakeness, consciousness, mindfulness to that place is all we need to do. And it does take some effort. There's a certain spiritual discipline coming home to the actual sensations of in-breathing and out-breathing. To this moment of life. this moment right now is the one in which we awaken. It's not sometime in the future. There isn't a future. There's just now. This breathing in is the life of this moment. The sound of an airplane passing overhead, or a memory that passes through, or a sense of great openness of heart that passes through, or an anxiety which comes and lingers, perhaps. It's all part of a dream that we call a human life. The wandering mind, the worrying mind, the planning mind, the mind which is embedded in some imagined past or an imagined future. All of these trances may last 1/10 of a second, or 10 minutes, or longer. And it doesn't matter. What matters is that moment when mindfulness shines forth. When it's knowing this sound, this thought, And it's skillful to remember some beautiful attitudes, actually our natural state behind all of our suffering. I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I find that self in each moment of my being. To make room for this being who lives here and now. It is my intention to forgive myself for every and all actions of body, speech, and mind in the past that I made out of ignorance, enthralled by greed or hatred, acknowledging myself as an ordinary human, learning from all activities, all mistakes, all successes. And when I'm hurting, no matter how I'm hurting, body, mind, heart, it is my intention to hold myself in sweet compassion. So there's no violence in meditation. There's no coercion. We melt our way into the present moment, into this breath right now. May all beings everywhere share in the merits of our practice. I lost a little time in there this morning. Suddenly the clock was at 7:50. How did that happen? A little story came to mind at one point, and I determined I would share it with you. A long time ago, 50 years and 4 months or 6 months, I guess now, 7 months ago, a young, very freaked out, neurotic young man, a boy really, was on a meditation retreat in Bodh Gaya, India. He was going through marijuana withdrawal and also terribly freaked out because his girlfriend had told him she was not going to marry him when they came home. Very freaked out. And a few days, 3 days or 4 days into the retreat, in the evening, the teacher, whose name was Goenka, spoke about something. I think it was impermanence, maybe attachment, clinging. And that young man's mind stopped thinking. For the first time, other than on hanging on a climbing rope or traveling fast on skis or something. And for the evening, the mind, that young man's mind was just quiet. It was what I now understand to be a normal human mind. And in that retreat center, there was a little tiny fountain, a little pencil. It was tiny. And it had a little bit of water that shot up, and then the water would form a little droplet and then fall back in. And those were somehow, for the first time, to him, visible. I guess because he took time to stop and look at them. And when he went to bed that night, this young man could feel his toes. Anywhere in the body that he directed awareness, there was life. And he was so glad that he'd finally learned how to meditate. And he fell asleep under the stars in Bodh Gaya, India, which at that time was a very clear sky. Now it's always smoke-filled. He woke up in the morning totally insane again. The same anguish, the same codependent terror, and so on. And he sat in line, sitting against the wall, to talk to the teacher. And when it was his turn, he went in, and the teacher was holding a copy of the Hindustan Times, which he put down beside him and said, "How may I help you?" And the young man probably exploded in tears and explained how he'd had it last night and then it was gone. And the teacher said to the young man, "Are you clinging to something that happened last night?" And the young man said, "Yes." And he had a moment then of realizing what was happening. That the suffering was coming from demanding this moment to be different. And Goenka-ji was the name of the teacher, said something like, "Don't worry, it will come and go many times. Just be aware how you're causing yourself suffering by demanding it to be a certain way." And this was a mind-boggling interaction for this young man. Here he is, 50 years later, still doing the same thing. Still falling asleep, waking up, falling into the dream, waking up, falling into the dream, waking up. And always increasingly with the willingness to notice, oh, there's suffering? Must be clinging to something. Must be demanding something be different than it is. Hard to believe. 50 years have passed. 50 years. Half a century. I was in an Indian restaurant in Canada about a year or two ago, 2 years before COVID. I was talking with a young woman who had just come over maybe 6 months before. And I asked her, on the trains, they used to have these cups. They were earthen. They were unfired earth. And maybe they were lightly fired or something. But you'd get your tea in them, and then you throw them in the countryside, and then they just melt again with the rain or whatever. And I asked her, do they still have those? And she said, I've seen them in old movies about India. Which was the first time I started counting, and I realized, good God, I'm talking about India of half a century ago. Everything's plastic now, of course. So I have a couple of announcements. If you check out the chat, I was quite busy. I put the poem in there twice because I didn't realize it had worked. There is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Survey for PIMC. If you have not filled it out, please do so. It'll take you a while. It's very beautifully constructed, thanks to Kat. And the whole team, 6 of us, I guess it was, worked on it. And the idea is to find out who we are and also to find out what your priorities are for PIMC regarding this important issue of including everybody and welcoming everybody. And then you go down from there. There's the usual link for making contributions to PIMC to practice the delightful practice of generosity. And then if you're on the listserv, you probably saw this already, but just in case, this afternoon, there's a talk by Rhonda McGee, who I read one of her books recently, and she's a marvelous purveyor of information about waking up about race, and more than that. And what's this? Oh, this is Candle is teaching on Saturday, a half-day retreat on the 10 paramis, the wholesome, beautiful characteristics of personality that we can develop, beginning with generosity. And and Jim, would you speak about our coming remarkable social event?
Yes, I will. There's an announcement in the newsletter. Not the newsletter. There will be an announcement in the newsletter soon. But on Connections, there's an announcement for the picnic on August 14th. It's a way of welcoming ourselves back together, person to person. So it's going to be held at Selwood Park from 2:30 to 6 o'clock on Saturday the 14th. And if you're interested in participate, adding something to the plan, post it in the response to the announcement on Connections, and our committee will start drawing more information together for in the next week or so. So hold the date for the 14th and come back and see people in person.
Oh dear. Let's gather together unmasked and have a COVID Delta variant super spreader event. Meditation Center in Portland. This creates a super spreader event. Not. So, my friends, have you something you'd like to share this morning?
Hi, Robert and Steffi. This and I'm saying hi to myself. Good morning. Um, Hi, Robert and Sangha. I just wanted to say that I took the diversity survey yesterday, and I I found some parts of it, or maybe that was a couple days ago. I found some parts of it a little bit confusing. It was like double negatives or something, and I had to think hard to say, like, if I say yes or no, does this mean, or if I rank it this way, does this mean I value diversity or don't? So I just wanted to put that out there, that I had to think, not based on how I feel, but based on the wording.
Mm. I think I know the question or questions you experienced that in, because so did I. And those questions were in there. How does one say this? There's a very succinct way of saying it. We could ask the questions where some of the questions were asked two ways, and they were intended to see, is there coherence in the answer? And anyway, thank you for sharing that. We'll get the needed information out of it anyway, I'm sure. Thank you, though. I wonder, there's a certain percentage of people who are not completing the survey, it turns out, which is normal. But I wonder if it's around questions like that people said, forget it, I'm not going to work this hard. So we're doing the best we can. And thanks for letting us know. We're all supposed to be so professional, so polished, so perfect, you know? Somebody sang a song in a recording studio 25, 35, 40 years ago. And then someone else sat at fancy recording software and brought up this part of the sound and put that part of the sound. And then this has been played and played and played, and we had it on our 45s and that's the way that sound's supposed to be sung. I have a particular penchant. My favorite song, actually, of my lifetime is Bob Dylan's Tambourine Man. And it helped me get out of my home 55 years ago. I lay there at my head at my parents had this big old clunking stereo, an FM thing. And I lay there late at night listening and listening and listening again and again. Take me for a trip upon your magic swirling ship. And I love to sing that song. And I've just, I don't know, a year or two ago I realized I don't have to sound like Bob Dylan. Why? I'm not him. And I can't. I'll never play the guitar like he played the guitar. And there's so many things. Like, did we do, is the survey confusing? Yeah, it is in places, I think. It shouldn't be, but it is. It's so important that we have mercy on ourselves. Oh God, I'm ranting here. High school and college sports and theater, everything's supposed to be done at this super high level. I watched my kids go through high school, and man, if you're going to do a play, you might as well realize that's going to be your life this term. That's all. If you're going to play a sport, well, you better play it at the top level, because. So where's the mercy? I'm ranting. Where's the mercy? And in meditation, let's have profound mercy. Last Thursday, I put a document in a Dropbox at the recorder's office for the city of Portland. Our permit is waiting on that document being recorded. Yesterday, I was expecting the recorded document back in the mail. I got a reimbursement check for the $116 that I put with that document. After we hang up here, I'm going to see if I can go find out why. Did I not cross a T or dot an I? Are they delaying us another week because of that? It's so hard to do everything precisely.
Good morning, Robert.
I
It's
hear
David.
a voice. Hello, David.
Hello, Robert. Good morning to you. Good morning, Sangha. Just wanted to share something with you. It's not a question per se, but there's a lovely saying. I think it's from Suzuki Roshi. I'm not sure who said it. I think it might be Suzuki Roshi. But he said, we're all perfect just as we are, and we could always use a little improvement.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I'll share it with the group. Morning, Sangha.
Hi.
Oh, Joy first.
Just a quick thing, Robert. This might not be helpful, but I just wanted to say my husband is a planner working with the Victoria Municipality, and they've just spent 5 years on a renovation of a heritage home, and it still isn't finished. So I totally relate to municipal government is very hard to work with.
So it seems.
That's all. And I just wish you well in that process.
Thank you. I'm learning.
Robert, it's Joe.
Hi, Joe.
You need to include a 10 rupee note this time.
Oh dear, that's funny. You know, it just gave me a thought. I have. That got me. That was cool. I have in my wallet here. I have a whole bunch of money. Ooh, I have $20 off your next purchase. Oh, but it's I have. What's this? I have a Vietnamese 50,000 note. I have, what's this one? Colombia, I have 1,000, whatever they are, is in Colombia. I have 2 reals. This is Brazilian. I've been meaning to give these to my grandchildren, and I've forgotten. So next time I'll put one of these in, maybe the 10,000 one. Here's a 20,000 one with Ho Chi Minh. Oh my gosh, that's another 50,000. Or here's some. Oh boy, this is pretty. Check it out. Of course, it's a man. It's a Venezuelan 100. That's probably worth a nickel. Anyway, good idea.
Robert, this is a great exercise, Dave Mayer, a great exercise in Nietzsche, actually, because I'm listening to you talk about your horrors of what's going on in the planning department. I'm remembering back in the days of Neil Goldschmidt, which probably really dates me, where one of his major programs was to fix the planning department so that it wasn't such a hellscape to get a permit. And I'm listening to this thinking, my God, didn't they fix that? Nietzsche. And I want to, that poem was really, I don't know, it got me today because most of my meditation today it may be a surprise to many of you that I get lost in my mind. And
Shocking.
I was sitting there, attending to the breath and thinking, okay, stay with the breath, stay with breath. Okay, let go of the day of trying to stay with the breath. Okay, let go of the Dave trying to let go of the Dave. Okay, just let go. Just let go. It was very productive. I started to realize how much of my what's the word for it, awareness is spent in my mind trying to do what I'm trying to do, when in fact I should just be letting go and being. And it's a very rare experience, which I fortunately had today. Thank you. Wonderful poem.
Yeah. I want to say a word for the planning department. The planning department in Florida did a poor job on that building that collapsed. And so it's probably really important that we have the planning department being quite obsessive about things. So, in support of their, I mean, among the things that seem to me excessive are we're going to be required to put in a quite sophisticated fire alarm system. It's not a big building. It is going to cost $40,000. But maybe someday that'll save a life, or 2 or 10. You never know. Why we need to make the doors 3 feet wide instead of 2.5 feet wide downstairs, I don't know. But so it's, I mean, fundamentally it's about protection, safety.
Probably to allow those wheelchairs to escape when the fire alarm goes off.
Well, problematically, there's no way up the stairs from downstairs. There's no way to get a wheelchair down there other than to carry it. But maybe somebody would someday. You never know. So anybody else have something else you'd like to say before I leave to call the permit department? No, the recording department. So let's go out on a song. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. May all beings everywhere, including the Department of Recording Deeds and Planning Fire Safety, may all beings benefit from the merits of our practice. You ready to go? Unmuting if you will. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thanks for being here today, folks. Very nourishing and important for me. So have a fine, loving, compassionate day. Adios.
Thank you, Robert.
Good luck with your phone call.
Thank you. Goodbye, friends on Facebook and